Hi everyone. So, good evening as I'm filming this. Today, I would just like to talk about the second time that I seriously considered suicide. I know it's a bit personal, but I'm sharing this in the hope that it might help someone. And obviously, that did not continue, right? I'm still here. That was ages ago. But, okay, so decades ago. There was a time when I just contemplated suicide because I just came from a breakup. Actually, my very first romantic relationship, and of course, it really hurt, right? And even though both of us were toxic to each other and all that, uh, it was just earth shattering that, relationships can end. And, I mean, it was so, I built my whole life and consciousness around it. So, of course, if it ends, now, where will my life go, right? So it's like the song, that oldie song. I don't want to sing it, but don't they know it's the end of the world? It ended when you said goodbye, like, "Ooh," and all that. So I really felt depressed. Um, the funny thing was, before that relationship, I was so full of life. I was so happy. I was really brimming with positive energy. And now looking back, like, yeah, so what happened, right? All that energy was sucked off. I mean, it was really given away to someone else. And it wasn't really the person, really, I mean, it wasn't their fault because both of us were immature and really, we were not ready for that relationship. But, when you learn how to walk, you need to take the first step, right? And you're not gonna get it right immediately. So it wasn't the person really, but really just both of us being a bad combination. And I don't know, I mean, I've changed a lot. I don't know if he has changed since then, and I wish him well. I think he also wishes me well. So, you know, all is well that ends well. But during that time, really, I felt, it was like there was no more purpose for living because I built my life, or I made it revolve around that relationship. So I was considering, oh, there's no more reason to live, then therefore I should end my life now. And then just as I was thinking that, suddenly there was another thought that popped in my head. And I really felt that it wasn't from me because I was me. I was contemplating suicide. But then an alternative thought popped up and said, why? For most of your life. So that was, I think I was in my late teens. So the thought said, for most of your life, you were alive without this person. So you didn't need that person to live. So why would you think you need that person now? So, for example, I think I was 19 then. So, for 18 years, you were alive and you were happy without him. So, why do you need, why do you think you need him now? Or you don't need that person to live. You obviously could live without him. So, okay. So, I was really, just obviously very immature then that it had to be spelled out to me. But I needed that reality check. Nobody else was saying it to me. Well, nobody knew that I was contemplating suicide, I suppose, right? And we were all, as kids, we were all just feeling it out, right? Like, it's like the blind leading the blind, right? And, many times when we have problems, right, we don't know what to ask. How do you ask for the solution if you're not even aware of the problem, or you're not even aware that it was a problem? Like, how do you Google it? And I don't think Google was even around then. How do you Google something when you don't know what to Google? Like, you don't know the song, so how can you search for the song if you cannot type what it is? So things like that. So I was so uh, um, that very simple statement really helped me get back up and, oh, right, right. I don't need to die. I mean, I can live without him because I have been doing that for almost 20 years then. So, okay. And then, all right. So, it's like I was looking at the edge already of the building when you're going to jump, and then, okay, somebody talked me out of it. And I was so thankful for that. And out of that, I'll just like to share some insights, right? So one, there's always a blessing. There's always the bright side to everything. And it's really tempting, right? When we see a problem and it feels like everything is there, everything is going wrong, or that one thing seems to be our life, that this is all, and if it's not going well, then nothing's going well. Our life is useless because this is all I have and it's not going well. Please, please, look at the blessing, at the silver lining, at the bright side of everything. Even in that horrible situation that you are in, there might be, I'm pretty sure there is something good about that. Even just the experience of going through that, there might be a lesson there, or there might be a skill that you are learning, a life skill, something. It's up to you, but I'm sure there is something. And number two, if even if you don't see that there is a blessing there, I'm sure it will get better. The It does seem patronizing when I say this, but if you're at your lowest point, then congratulations, there's nowhere to go but up, right? So it's like I'm a hopeless hopeful person. I'm a hopeless optimist. Yeah. Incurable optimist. There's always something good. If not there, then in the future things will get better. Another thing, find connection in healthy ways, right? Well, first off, how are we living with ourselves, right? Let us learn to love ourselves, to take care of ourselves. The burden to love ourselves should not fall on someone. That was what made my relationship before toxic, because I gave the responsibility to the other person. You should be like this to me, you should be like this, you should be like this. And even if I said that, well, I am like that, therefore you should be like that, it's not, it becomes a contract, or it becomes an obligation, and it becomes something that, it becomes a burden, instead of me taking care of myself and me loving myself, so that if I am in friendships or romantic relationships or whatever situation, I am able to give out of an overflow. Like, I can serve others but not demand so much of them because I'm already the one taking care of myself, right? Isn't it better if, you might have heard the analogy, like, instead of, two people, like two empty, is that empty glasses or half full, and then you pour into each other, and it's never gonna be enough because both of you are not filled. Somebody might get all the good vibes, the good energy, and the other one will be left with nothing. Or maybe you're both toxic to each other, you're both takers, right? Isn't it better if you are both givers, but you are giving without by but also giving to yourself, like helping others, helping yourself. And we can do that if we are loving ourselves, if we are receiving love from God and the universe as well. Right? So it becomes a healthy flow. So consider the river, right? The river is always flowing. Right? There's an inlet, there's an outlet. It's flowing. And there's plenty for everybody, right? In love, there is plenty for everybody. Instead of thinking of, well, I did this for you, so you should do this for me. and then we become resentful if something doesn't go our way, or if they did not love us or relate to us in the way that we wanted, and then we hold back. So now nothing is flowing, right? Both parties now become selfish. Well, you didn't do that, so I didn't do that. And then and then there's no flow of love. And then everybody's just selfish or taking or deceiving, right? So instead of the deceit, instead of taking by force or being burdened and resentful, why don't we just give and love in truth, right? It's open, generous, but loving each other and loving ourselves. So, you may have heard about the term codependent, right? Versus interdependent, right? No man is an island, that is a saying. So, isn't it sad? I mean, I don't want to just live by myself. A lot of people or some cultures are into that, like very individual. I can do things by myself. Well, that's great, right? I mean, that's also what I'm saying. Yes, let us love ourselves. But it's also great to connect to other people. But yeah, find the balance there. Whatever balance is for you, like you are a well maintained person, well sufficient, independent person, but also connecting to others in healthy ways, right? Relating to each other. And I really love the Bible verse that says, love others as you love yourself. Basically, that's it. That's all it boils down to, right? When we relate to each other, in the same way, like I take care of myself and I will not harm myself and I will not harm others, then everything follows. The details will follow in whatever situation we are in. And when we relate to each other, it will not be codependent. It will not be like an energy vampire taking from each other, or being resentful or taking revenge on each other, or having a record of mistakes like, haha, I will get you for that because you did not remember our anniversary, then you owe me twice for Christmas, things like that. No, let us let us have that healthier relationships. It might sound too good to be true for some of us, right? Maybe you haven't experienced that before in any relationship, but good news, just start with yourself, right? How do you treat yourself? Do you treat yourself like an important being, or someone who doesn't deserve respect, doesn't deserve attention, doesn't deserve attention, right? And when we love ourselves, we also learn how to create healthy boundaries. There's also a saying, when we treat, what's that? We teach others how to treat ourselves. So, we cannot change other people. We can inspire other people, but, every person makes up their own mind. But when somebody disrespects me, I can say, you know what? I felt disrespected, or this is not okay. And then we can have a communication, right? Maybe there was just a misunderstanding. Or maybe I was being too sensitive, right? Or maybe I was the one actually being disrespectful to the other person. Maybe both of us were used to it, to that kind of toxic treatment. But it starts with healthy boundaries. I also learned that from gardening, actually. Like, I cannot make thorny plants. I cannot change them, right? I don't know if you can make experiments with plants and all that to change their nature, right? But I cannot change them. But what I can do is say, okay, within this area, within my garden, this is not allowed, right? So I'm sorry, I have to prune, the plants that I don't want. I don't want to call anybody or anything weeds, but as much as possible, I try not to remove anything. But if it damages or if it threatens others, including myself when I'm walking around there, then okay, no to harming others, right? So that's the boundary. Okay, let's let's show with how I speak to others. It also encourages them how to speak to me, right? I mean, we adjust to each other, definitely, right? I adjust to them and they adjust to me. So it's like that. That's how relationships are supposed to work. And that's what makes it interdependent, but in healthy ways, right? And then we can sense which behaviors are better than others, right? Maybe you're used to being shouted, when you were growing up. So you tend to shout also at others. You think it's okay. And then somebody doesn't do that. And then you would think, oh, is this weird? Why is this happening? Or who's wrong? Or maybe no one's wrong, but which way of speaking do you want? Somebody who sounds aggressive to you, even if they don't mean it, then you can do it in a more gracious way. Same with sarcasm, right? You can say things in a nice way, but underneath there's actually evil, malicious intent. Well, I do sense that, it's not just about the action. We can sense when somebody really intends good or evil towards us. And that's where boundaries come in. You can choose to not interact with such people who you think are not safe for you, right? It's okay. You can do that. You don't have to tolerate such behavior. And same if you are the one, when you sense, how come some people don't like me? Is there something wrong with me? Like, maybe, it's also a good way to examine. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm the bad guy, right? Or again, maybe there's just a misunderstanding. But that's another. I've gone on too much about that, but the thing is, yeah, we can connect in healthy ways. And it starts with ourselves and what we accept and not accept from others. Right. And another thing, when we are going through problems, it's okay to ask for help, right? So a lot of people, especially, yeah, when we are alone, that's when the suicide ideation comes up, right? There's a lot of harm or damage, and there's a tendency to think evil of ourselves, especially when we are alone with our damaging thoughts. It magnifies because we are left alone with ourselves, right? When you are alone, you can be alone with your good vibes or with your negative vibes. So, yeah, so for example, when we have a breakup and then we have a breakdown, how can we have that breakthrough? We don't have to go at it alone. We can ask for help. So that's where other people pray, meditate, think, journal, exercise, just get out of the house and, get out of our own self. And yeah, connect to people. It's a bit humiliating sometimes, it's embarrassing, but that's what other people are better in some things than us. So, I mean, why not? If I want to get better, then I will listen and I will ask help from someone who is good at that life skill, at that issue, right? So it's okay. It's better than staying by myself, I mean, that's it, right? Even if I was just saying about being your best self, right? There's probably a lot of reasons why we are not yet our best selves. So we learn from those who are better than us. And then we can teach those who are not yet there. So yeah, so everybody is improving. Lastly, I would like to encourage that this is an example where I can say again that God is in us. So that time I wasn't praying. I wasn't asking help from the heavens or from anything. I was just seriously thinking, oh, I should kill myself. And then that thought, and you can say, well, I didn't even ask permission. I mean, that thought did not ask permission. How intrusive, how invasive. But that time, I really needed to hear that, right? So, God gives us what we need, even though many times it's not what we want. Or maybe deep down, we know that's what we want. We want answers. That's also what we need, right? But through life, I'm old now enough to realize that, and I'm sure maybe many of you also think this, that we are given what we need for each step, for each situation and stage in our lives. We get what we need. So that time, I really needed to hear that simple statement, that that negated or made me or encouraged me to keep on living. That's what I needed then, and for many times I I just keep on seeking that and acting on it. And yes, I'm preaching to myself because there are some things, many things that I sense that God is telling me to do and I should get to it. Yeah. So maybe some of you are thinking, oh, that's great. So isn't that nice? I want God to talk to me too. Or how come God only talks to some people and not to others? But I think we all have that inner voice, that still small voice, that conscience, that inner guidance, that intuition. There are lots of names for it, right? But there is this divine thing inside us, and you can sense the more that you find that guidance, that love, the truth, and the more that you live and follow that guidance, the more you will hear more of it. Because truly, if you don't want to listen, right, when you're in nursery and you're not listening to nursery, how can you graduate to the next step, right? How can you get to second grade if you haven't gone through first grade yet, right? So that's it. Okay, so that's all for now. Thank you for listening. That got long. And yeah, choose life, and we have God with us, and we have everybody else, wonderful people around us that we can have healthy connections with. It's okay to ask for help. We all have problems, but we can help each other to be better and to live better. And yeah, cheers to a wonderful, wonderful life. Yeah. And thank you for listening. Bye bye. God bless.